Tonight, the city of Lagos
There is
went
still a
agog
poor
as all
level
routes.
Be the first to know. From the north, south, east, west, and around Africa, we break the news.
We are one Nigeria.
Now you can catch all the actions live as the news breaks. We are Core TV News,
Welcome to Core
a
TV
24-hour news station.
Hello, I am Sheyi Martins. The National Conference it's at its twilight stage after a further adjournment of plenary, where participants would not agree on the issue of derivation. Derivation is one of the very key issues why Nigerians from across the divide have been calling for the National Conference, whether sovereign or otherwise. Now the conference is winding down. We'll take a look at this and other issues at the National Conference on Core Digest today. Our guest is Yinka Odumaki, who is the National Publicity Secretary of the Afenifere Renewal Group. Afenifere is no longer renewal. Yinka Odumaki, you're welcome to our studios.
Yeah, good morning. Good morning, viewers.
Well, what is your estimation of the National Conference? An overview.
Well,
How have you found it?
By and large, it has conference has thrown up all that's wrong with Nigeria. Why Nigeria is where it is after 53 years of independence. Why we are not making much progress. And why progress may still elude us as certain steps are taken, which at the moment I can say that kind of a battle for the soul of Nigeria between the status quo and those who want change. At the conference, I could see that maybe when in two categories: the pro-federal delegates to the conference and the pro-feudal delegates. And most of the disagreements that you see coming out of the conference have been about the clash of views between those two tendencies, about those who want Nigeria to remain as it is, and those who want Nigeria restructured so I can fulfill its manifest destiny in the Community of Nations.
So would you say these two divide were the main enclave that determined what was said?
Oh, essentially, because you see, when you look at all the debates, it was along these two lines of those who say, oh, no. The 1999 Constitution says that this, you cannot do this, you cannot do this, so there's no point discussing it. And those who say that good. The very reason why we are here is that this Constitution is not working, we are not properly constituted, and we need to be reconstituted. And so argument went forth and back, but by and large, I think that, I would say that this conference has been profound to the extent to which, since 1957, this has been the most qualitative conference that has discussed the issues of Nigeria in depth, the level of arguments, the kind of decisions. In the overall, we passed over 600 resolutions.
Indeed.
At this conference. We had 20 committees. We took decisions on 19 3/4 of the committee. A quarter of the devolution we were unable to take a decision on. And of course, every conference since 1988 has not been able to take a decision.
As much as they said.
Yes.
So you will say that it has been a success?
It has, by and large, it has been. Save for the thorny issue of derivation, like I said, that we have been thrown back at Mr. President to kind of constitute a technical committee. And if you go back on the historical excursions, in 1988, the Babangida's Constituent Assembly was unable to take a decision on derivation. The 1994, under the Abacha conference, the conference had a lot of hot exchanges over the derivation. Eventually, they set up a committee of 9 to go and look at the issue. That committee too was going to scatter in different directions until the late Major General Musa Yar'Adua said, okay, gentlemen, what do we do? Let each of us write what he thinks should be the derivation formula on a sheet of paper. They did. And when they finished, he summed up what everybody has written and divided by 9.
Why 9?
because they were 9.
9 of them, yes.
And of course, they got 12.3.
That was
how they got 13% their budget conference, which also are using today. In 2005, the South had to work out over the issue of derivation. When it was said that it was only 17% that we granted to them. And so by and large, so if it's on that issue that I'm not able to take a decision, we have not done badly. And it's also shown clearly that we have not addressed what's causing the problem. What is causing the problem is that the Yoruba people say, that is, it's not a pleasant experience sharing, eating food together if it's one party that brings food on the table.
Okay.
If every part of Nigeria were bringing something on the table, everybody will be agitating for increase in derivation. Because it's only a session that's bringing something on the table. The session that's not bringing anything does not want derivation. Because in the First Republic, derivation was 50%.
Yes.
Now, at that time, you know, Western Nigeria had its cocoa, East is palm oil, North is groundnut. But today, if you look at the Federation accounts between 2009 and 2012, 4 years. In those 4 years, because of its oil-rich nature, the South-South gave this country an average of 68% of the funds shared at the Federation accounts. The Southwest gave 23% average, while the Southeast gave 8% average. Northeast, Northwest, North Central in those 4 years give 0.0, 0.0, 0.0.
And if all of these issues were some of those thorny issues that became the arrowhead that made the conference to be extended, I mean, as plenary has been extended now.
No,
some of you,
okay.
Some of you did call for a sovereign national conference. If you say this was a success, you in particular, why did you back down on that?
Well, you see, there's a difference between what you agitate for
and what you got.
And what you got. A sovereign national conference mostly is convoked when the existing authority in the country has been paralyzed. And the power is on the street, and then you have convoke a sovereign assembly of the people but to the extent to which this conference was called by a government in power, it's going to have been a sovereign national conference. It's going to have been a national conference. But there's an authority existing that called the conference. And but by and large, I think that for those of us who want to see country restructured, we succeeded to a large extent to restructure this country at this conference based on some of the resolutions we have passed. For instance, we have removed local government from the federal constitution. That the local government now should be a residual matter to lie with the state, and the federal government should have nothing to do with it, and that they should not be the base of sharing revenue at the center. That's a major step. It's a revolutionary decision we have been taking. Given the lopsided creation of local governments in this country, the unjustness of it and the rest. I mean, we had a situation where a place like Kano and Lagos were equal divisions in the First Republic. And over the years, through gerrymandering, Kano has become 2 states with 77 local governments, and Lagos remains 20 local governments. So at the end of the moment, you go to share revenue for local government in Abuja, the Kano that was the same division of Lagos State will come with 77 trucks, and Lagos carry only 20 trucks. So, and you also see that the 3 zones in the north that contribute 0% to federation accounts take 54% of local government money.
54%?
So, now by saying that, look, there should be only 2 tiers in any federation, the central government and the federation units. It's only in Nigeria you have this abnormality that you have 2 tiers of federation units, state and local government. So now say now, states, everything about local government, their functions, their number, their everything should be by the state, and that revenue sharing should be between the federal government and the state. But in the state also, we have recommended that there should be a revenue mobilization and fiscal allocation committee that will allocate funds between the state government and local government. So it's not as if local government is now to enrich the governor's pocket. No, that should be just like there's a renewable allocation that local revenues between the federal government and the state government, between the state government and the local government. There's just a commission that says this will go to each local government, so that and then people can now monitor and ensure that development takes place. Unlike at the present where they will share money in Abuja, then they come to the states, they have a joint account between the governor and the local government. People don't even know what to get to the local government, and then whatever it is. So, but this now people can know, and then can call for accountability at that level, which is the closest level to the government. We also, at this conference, decided to unbundle the police. That in a country like Nigeria, a heterogeneous society, multi-ethnic and the rest, you cannot have a unitary police and be able to fight crime. And you can say that the federal police has collapsed in the face of crime. Most of the crimes that somebody stole goats here, somebody stole, I mean, the federal police go and chase that. That's what I do. Look at things. You need a local police. And in any case, I think I was in one of the parts today where the Minister of Defense, State for Defense, Obani Koro, was talking about the fact that in the last 25 years, Nigeria has not invested in military weapons. Same thing for the police. In fact, a governor was telling me about 4 weeks ago that the last time the federal government bought an armored personnel carrier for the police in the state was 1983.
Yeah.
You see
during their deals years.
Yes. You see now that governors have a kind of intervention funds, security fund, and these are funds that are not accounted to anybody. So we're not saying no, instead of doing this. And then of course, somebody said before the conference that they went to some state in the east. Because today now you have all manners of vigilantes, all conventional things all over the place that are not regulated by anybody. And he said that when they are telling them that, look, what we do, our modus operandi is that when the man is accused of stealing or theft, you bring a machete and then cut him. If the machete penetrates his body, it means that it's a thief. If it does not, it's not a thief. Can you make that kind of thing? Just because we are fighting crimes with all kind of unconventional and cruel methods, whereas we have state police, they can be regulated. The governor of Borno at that time was saying that they have spent 10 billion naira on JTF fighting Boko Haram. No account to anybody. I mean, if they had the state police, if money is allocated to that police, they have to give account how money is spent. So, by and large, we've taken that decision. We've taken this further revolutionary decisions. For instance, mines was on a school list
of the government.
Before, federal government. Only federal government can touch it. And what is happening, the federal government is only concentrated on oil. State cannot do it. What's happening is illegal miners from Lebanon, China, all over the place, doing mining all kind of resources. And when you see the geological map of Nigeria, you wish for this country. Really? There is no part of this country that God has not deposited one mineral resource or the other in large quantity. Zamfara, 4-5 different kind of mineral resources. We cannot be tapped now. So we have to remove this from the federal. Let's put it on the concurrent. So that both the federal and the state can legislate and participate in exploration of this item. So we have also said that each state of Nigeria should have their own constitution. So that, because we are devolving powers to the states, it's not to now make things gods of the state governors. Therefore, there should be a constitution in each state to regulate their state government so that there can be something to be cited. So, by and large.
Let me hold you particularly on that issue of state constitution. Why do we have the state assemblies? Is that not what the state assemblies are doing? Regulating laws for the state. Why do we have a state constitution? Is it not the same?
No, it's different.
What's the difference?
The state assembly, they are lawmakers.
For the states?
And even national assemblies too, they are lawmakers. It's
for
not
the nation?
For the nation. They are not, it's not that to make constitution. To constitute. A constitution, what does constitution mean? How a people are constituted. So it's not assembly that will constitute the people. It is the people that will constitute, decide to be constituted. They can only make laws within the constitution that the people have decided to give to themselves. So we make this mistake in Nigeria because of long years of military rule, where the Armed Forces Ruling Council was the lawgiver, the law, and the rest, nothing that. No, the lawmakers, they are agents of the people. And agents cannot be greater than its principal. So it's the principals who give the constitution. So, for instance, now, if these things are approved now, if Lagos wants to have the state now, it's a constitutional assembly of the people of Lagos
Yes.
that will draft a constitution for Lagos State. The Lagos State Assembly can only make laws within the purview of that constitution. They are not the one to give the constitution to the people of Lagos State. And
this is what some of us say as it may sound like an anomaly, because there is an existing legislative arm of government in various states that makes law for the states.
Yeah.
And you're talking about state constitution. Would that be, particularly now, would it be not too right for the government? Because these are some of the recommendations that we're going to take very seriously in the end. We're going to talk about how we resolve all of this. How do we make them into what Nigerians should adopt, for instance? But before we go there, let's take a few more light into this issue of state constitution and other resolutions, as you've talked about, local government, police, mines. The issue of mines and the state constitution. First, let's look at the state's constitution. Right now, as we are presently constituted, every state's got a lawmaking body, yes, which has provided in the interest of the people of the states. Yeah. Why do we need a constitution when that is available?
Because we are running a federal system. Mm-hmm. Go to America today. Each state in America has its own constitution.
Because they are independent.
They are federal. We are supposed, if we are practicing federalism, we should imbibe the ethos of federalism. Mm-hmm. When you say federalism, what does it mean? Federalism means that a given territory is being governed by different levels of government that are coordinates. Mm-hmm. So, if they are coordinates, why should they have their own law constitution from which they derive the activities of their government? In any case, what I've said is that, look, where there's a conflict between the state constitution and the federal constitution
takes
precedence. But you cannot continue to say that we are a federation and say that this state will now exist by unwritten laws. Mm-hmm. Or by just, where is that? They have to codify it. Mm-hmm. So that you can, every citizen, for instance, Lagos, then the state now can say, okay, this is the constitution of Lagos State. This action this government is taking is within the constitution of the state. But it's saying that there's no such document you can refer to.
The laws of Lagos States.
Where are they? They are not codified. No booklet. So we need to codify. And it's not just the laws made by the assemblies. The people of Lagos State, through their representatives, now saying that these are the laws we want to be governed with in Lagos State, and these are constitution. It strengthens democracy.
Indeed.
And federalism.
Let's go to Oshogbo, because Akim Shitu has sent us a Facebook message. Why did the National Conference approve diaspora voting, knowing that the means to conduct a simple election is elusive to the Independent National Electoral Commission? How come the people we expect will come out with strong positions on the progress of Nigeria, like Pastor Tunde Bakare and Yinka Odumaki kept a low profile during the conference?
Well, I think maybe the gentleman said that, or
yes,
maybe did not follow the proceedings at the conference, because on every issue we made our views known, and without being immodest, mm-hmm, after every contribution, the conference secretariat asked for some of the issues we presented.
Yes.
That we should give further elucidation. So, so maybe he did not follow the conference, maybe NEPA, mm-hmm, or whatever. Mm-hmm. But on the...
Yeah, he did ask the issue of diaspora voting.
Diaspora voting.
Yes.
Well, diaspora voting, whereby we had the year had it. Left to me, I have my reservations, but that's the decision of the conference.
Please let's know. That's why we brought you here.
No, my reservation is that we need to get even the electoral system right at home before we can begin to vote abroad. We don't need to count successfully those who are voting at home. Now to go offshore. So that I hope we do not start offshore again and the rest. But it's a decision of the conference. I was part of it. Once the majority said we have to abide by it. But I hope that we'll be able to get it right in terms of conducting free, fair, and clean elections.
With respect to that area, the area of election and conduct of election in Nigeria, the conference discussed that even at length as well.
Oh yes, we had a committee on political parties and electoral
matters.
And we took so many resolutions also on how to get free, clean, and fair elections. For instance, I think we took a decision that petitions should be concluded before winners are sworn in.
Absolutely.
We have also taken some decisions on the honors of proof, which at the present put petitioners at very great disadvantage. Well, the one that looks somehow, which for me as a federalist, I find difficult, but the mood of the conference was to scrap the State Independent Electoral Commission.
Indeed.
And of course, the governors are not helped matters for those of us who are federalists, who are insisting that this election is conducted by this. Because the governors had abused so much the State Electoral Commission that everywhere, every state, the ruling power was 100%. I mean, look at Kano. Kano was, the last time they conducted local elections was 100% PDP. The moment Kwakwanso moved to APC, the conducted local election, APC 100%. You know?
Okay, let's here's another message from Ali Mosho here in Lagos. It seemed to me as if this national conference is more of an eye-opener because issues of national interest and prominence were simply sidestepped, and the conference had a strong religious, ethnic, and tribal divide. If the leaders at the top cannot agree, and the delegates are so divided, does this not mean that Nigeria can simply not be united? Well, Benjamin Okri from Ali Mosho.
Yeah, well, Benjamin's observation is quite right, because, but that's a challenge of nationhood. Why Nigeria has not gotten it right
to be united?
To be united, because the template was not there, the Lugadian experiment. And look at it, it's not in Nigeria. Most of the places where British has gone to do this experiment, it's either falling apart or they are under intense strain. India, Sudan, Yugoslavia. Even Britain itself, this September, there will be a referendum in Scotland.
Yes.
On whether Scotland should continue to be part of Great Britain or not. That tells you that the British they have failed in nation-building enterprise. In any case, they didn't come here to build a nation. They came here for business. They amalgamated the North and the South
for business
purposes. Not so they need to take account of all these factors, and that's why we are under this. We are expending these strains. And in any case, Obafemi argued convincingly that the only way to run a multi-ethnic heterogeneous society like Nigeria is via a federal constitution. It is because we abandoned that road that today Nigeria is under stress. And of course, today we are much more divided than we were before amalgamation in 1914. This was a country in 1993 that voted for a Muslim ticket, Abiola Kingibe. Let anybody try that today.
Let's go to Ekiti now, where the next message on our Facebook, I would like to know Mr. Odumakin's take on the Ekiti governorship election. One, the events that happened before the election, like the prevention of key APC figures from entering Ekiti for the mega rally. Two, the alleged intimidation of APC stalwarts and stakeholders during the election, e.g., house arrest of APC leaders. And three, the APC heading for tribunal so as to forestall a repeat of the same by the federal government on the Osun election. What are your views from Bimbo Aberagba?
Yeah, well, for me, I think the Ekiti elections, we need to look at the full narration. A lot of things happened before the elections, but I think Aberagba has given a slice of it, not the whole picture. Yes, I mean, the prevention of
APC
stalwarts and the rest was undemocratic. There's a freedom of movement and the rest. But we also don't forget that even the incumbent governor, before the election himself, the way he deployed power, that opposition could not even read billboards, they are being smashed. We had a story of killings, about 2-3 killings of supporters who were killed and alleged that they were done by APC stalwarts. So then I think what we need to check is the abuse of power by politicians, and our politicians on both sides.
Across the board.
Across board. They have the capacity to deploy influence, undue deploy their influence to win political power. Now, the question of going to tribunal, well, I think the APC as a party has a right to go to the political tribunal. Although the candidates are considered defeat because, when we look at it on the surface, there was, if you had elections in state local government and you don't win any of the state local governments, I do not see much of what you want to contest. But I think what the APC, even for the opposition, because now I still even dropped the question of inspecting ballot boxes, or they're talking now about deployment of security and the rest. There are two sides to this thing. Well, I've had argument that the security forces intimidated voters. But that may not be valid for the party, because except you are saying that the security forces, if there are evidence to show that, okay, they show your party card before you allow you to move. If they are not doing that, there's no way the security could have worked against one party or against another in terms of their deployment. And so, but given the build-up to that election in Ekiti, given even some of the killings, the attacks that happened, and we had an election in which nobody was slapped throughout Ekiti State on election day, shows that the deployment of the security forces worked. But do we have the capacity to deploy that on a nationwide? That's a challenge. So if we need that kind of deployment of security forces to guarantee peaceful elections, that shows that we are not ready and we still have a long way to go, because we cannot muster enough security forces. But I believe that if between deploying security to forestall loss of lives, and not deploying security and having elections where people are being killed, I would vote for deploying security because one life is so precious
to a Nigerian.
Yes.
Yes. Another message on Facebook. Effiong Banda from Olivet Heights, Oyo. I'm a student of Olivet Baptist High School, Oyo. I am in JSS 3. Please, what is physical federalism that you talk about, and why is it that it became an issue in the national conference? That's a JSS 3 student.
I'm impressed.
Indeed.
And I think that young man,
Effiong Banda.
Effiong Banda is definitely going somewhere. Effiong, fiscal federalism means that the allocation and application of resources in any given country where there are levels or layers of government. And that's where the question of, we talk about either resource control or derivation. Resource control is where those who have resources in the area take 100% ownership of that resources.
As it's been proposed in the Niger Delta.
Yeah. But even now they are talking derivation now. And pay tax to the central
government.
To the federal government, central government. That's resource control. You control it, you do everything. But derivation is that you surrender the resources, part of the resources, to the central, and you retain a certain percentage for where these resources are derived. That's what we call derivation.
Yes.
And in Nigeria, derivation at present is 13%. Because we are relying only oil, that's why we think only oil when we talk about derivation. If every part of Nigeria were producing something, we'll be talking
as the case of the minerals that you're talking about.
We'll be talking about derivation to every part of Nigeria at the moment. The reason why derivation is linked only to South at the moment is because that's where we are depending on this oil as the mono product for economy. So in a federal arrangement, fiscal is about money, and that federalism is about that the resources have to go to different tiers of government, and that's two ways to it, either resource control or derivation, where you share what you have with the rest, but you keep a certain percentage, because that's why it's being derived. That's derivation.
Well, I'm sure Effiong will be quite happy with that explanation. But let me take you back to one of the resolutions you had at the National Assembly with respect to local police. In 1954, when Chief Obafemi Awolowo was Premier of the Western region, he muted local police and it was not agreed on. But he had something along those lines because there were the local police, as it were, and of course there was the federal police. It worked well, but not to the best of what the Western, or what the Premier thought was what he wanted, what he proposed at that conference at the time. Why do you think the existence of a local police will be far better than what we have presently?
Well, of course, definitely, you know,
particularly in these times.
In these times and climb, well, if we look at where the Boko Haram insurgency in the northeast now, you have heard stories of how effective the civilian JTF
have been,
because they know the terrain, they know the area. When you are dealing with some crime, most crimes are local, are cultural. If you don't speak language of the area, you don't know the terrain, it's difficult for you to go and detect those crimes. So we believe that at this stage, and already now, the governors are spending a fortune to maintain the federal police. And then I've told you that people are now resorting to all kind of vigilantes with crude tactics and the rest. That why don't we have something that's regulated, formalized? You say a governor is a chief security officer of the state. He has a police force in which has no control. He cannot deploy, cannot give instruction except they take instruction from Abuja. And let's not forget, some of the states we are calling states in Nigeria today are bigger than some countries in Africa. If you take a city like Lagos, there are about 50 to 80 million people in Lagos State. Yes. There's a country in the United Nations called Nauru. There are only 9,337 people there.
Indeed.
There are countries in Africa that are up to 1 million people. There is a country that's about 180,000 people. So why could you say that a governor of a state with 80 million people can make laws but cannot enforce those laws? I think that it's an idea whose time has come. The federal police has failed. And in any case, those who have been opposed to this thing, as God will have it, on the day we are to discuss state police at a national conference, a day before that, the Punch and Nation newspaper had at their front page the Hijba police in Kano. When you look at, unless you look at that photograph very well, you will think that's the Nigerian police force, well kitted. And these people are telling us that we are not ripe for state police, and you already have your own.
But they were against it.
But is that true? So we put that. I put a copy of that newspaper for every delegate, and I say, why not state police? If you have Hijba police in Kano, and you're not saying we are not ripe to have state police in another part of the country, what's the meaning of that? So it's what we need at this moment. We will fight crime better. Police will be done more effective. And go to any federal state, you see at times, you go on the street, you see 3-4 level police because they know their jurisdiction. Federal police, state police, local police, even universities have their police in America. It's an integral part of federalism.
Well, we'll have to relate that to the issue of individual LASIEC, as it were. I mean, that's the
SIEC, the
state independent.
Yeah.
But another message from Ondo here, Gbenga Ashiru. The local government, according to the National Conference, must be scrapped, but more states are to be created. Is the National Conference proposing that the local government we have now should become states? I don't understand the logic behind the call for scrapping of local governments. That's Gbenga Ashiru from Ondo.
Well, I think that Ashiru did not get it quite right. We've not scrapped local governments. All we have said that they should be transferred from the exclusive list to residual list. That the federal government is anathema for the someone to sit in Abuja and say, and now decide where the government should be created in Lagos, Osun, or Bayelsa. You know, under the military, they created the government from Abuja and put headquarters where there are no human beings, inside bush, because they don't know the terrain. So all we have said is that let's take the government to the states, domicile them there. Their number, if a state said, I want to have 100, 200 local governments, it's a business of that state. Not like happened in Lagos State created local governments and Obasanjo just said, okay, I'm seizing your funds. That's what we are removing. In fact, we have gone further also to say that between the states and local government, there should be a revenue mobilization agency that will share revenue between them so that money can go to this government, can be better funded. So we are not scrap local governments. We have said that let's strengthen them, let's bring them to where they should be in the federal arrangement. Now, so now question of states.
Yes.
Yes, states, the local government, they are not becoming states. They are under the states. The states have been created.
But there's a proposition of at least a further 18 states.
Yes. Because that's the fulfillment of self-determination. There were agitations for those states.
Viable?
What? You see?
That's another question.
If we go on the paradigm we have suggested, that let's begin to explore mineral resources from every part of Nigeria, which are like deposits. All the states we have proposed are viable.
They are viable.
Yes. But if we stay on the present paradigm, where we go to Abuja to share rent end of the month, oil money, even the existing states are not viable. I gave a paper before the conference to show that if peradventure oil stop flowing in Nigeria today, only Lagos State, out of the existing 30 states, can pay salaries of its workers. Because, and I'll give figures to back it. In 2012, Lagos generated IGR of 219 billion naira. Its wage bill was 75 billion. So Lagos will pay salary of its workers thrice from its IGR. But not so with the Tata for other states. In fact, it's still like Yobe. Throughout 2012, Yobe generated 1.4 billion naira in IGR. And their wage bill was 24 billion naira. So, if by adventure, we are able to sell a barrel of oil in Nigeria today for 2-3 months, all these governors who are chartering flights, playing all over the place, they will look for Okada to jump around.
So a state like River State, would you say it will not be viable?
Without oil.
Without oil.
Without oil, IGR of River State cannot pay its wage bill. If you take oil out of it.
Very interesting indeed. Very interesting. Well, we're still talking about police, and you are going to link that with the issue of states' independent electoral commission. If we say we can have our own state police, why can't we have our own independent electoral commission? But before we do that, there was a message on our Facebook again. We'll come to that. But please, right, the message is from Kebbi State, Kazim Sharif, and it says, I really want to thank God for the National Conference because it opened my eyes to see that Nigeria is a collection of nations and not really a country. While we were faced with impending doom, all I see most of the delegates doing is protecting selfish religious and tribal interests at the expense of the Nigeria. Kazim Sharif from Kebbi.
Well, it's only those who are living in denial all along that are deemed Nigeria to be a nation. Nigeria is not a nation.
It's not a nation?
No. Nigeria is a country. It's a country of nations. There were nations on ground before the British came. And the British never attempted to weld those nations together. And did not give us a template. And since independence, we have not developed a template to weld those nations together. And so what we are seeing today is we are having a clash of civilizations. And until we try to build, for me, Nigeria should not attempt to be unitary. And I've told people, there are those who confuse unity and uniformity. They are two different things. Unity in diversity. I have said that what Nigeria should attempt to be is a salad bowl nation.
Salad bowl?
Yes.
Yeah, mixture.
Mixture. Because when you take a salad bowl, there are different ingredients in it. You see lettuce, tomato, egg, carrot, cabbage. You can still recognize them as different ingredients, but it's a collection of all of them that give you salad. So they don't lose their identity, but it's their mix that gives you salad. So Nigeria should attempt to be a salad bowl nation, where in the bowl you can find all the ingredients. This is Igbo, this is Yoruba, this is Hausa, without losing identities, but we should have a sense of brotherhood. Like we said, if you go back to the old national anthem, those tribes and tongues may differ, in brotherhood we stand. We cannot stand in brotherhood until you accept federalism as the basis of our unity.
Let's go to Adamawa now. Another message. Nasir Najim. Given that there was no law backing up the setting up of the National Conference and the deliberations lacked the backing of the law, isn't this National Conference an effort in futility?
Well, I've listened to these arguments here and there. Like people are saying, oh yeah, oh yes, there's no law backing this up and the rest. But there's a law backing up the president who said this off. That's the president of Nigeria.
Yes.
He has inherent powers under Section 5 of these bad constitutional cities. And in any case, Sonny Abacha won't come one day when I say fellow Nigerians. I get up guys Sonny Abacha. He took over the country. He set up a constitutional conference. They did a report. He asked his political advisor, Professor Yadudu, to go and write a constitution. That's the constitution we're using today. They are not telling us that there was no law backing it up. So if one man who threw the barrel of gun wrote a constitution which put under his pillow and Absalami came and drafted it up and said this is the constitution of Nigeria, how now come now you have a democratically elected president setting up a national conference and one other there's no law backing it up? Which law do they want to back it up?
Would you say the conference has done well?
Well, by and large, by and large, we have. I think we have done so well, and I like the way the conference leadership managed the end of the conference, because there are centrifugal forces who wanted to scuttle the conference at the end over the question to use the derivation disagreement to scuttle the entire conference, but the leadership was able to handle it in a very matured and pragmatic way. That today the conference came to an end. That when we go back on the 4th of August now, all we are going to do is to consider the final report.
We'll come to a follow-up question to that. But another message on our Facebook, Jackson Madu from Anambra. I have 2 questions for the esteemed National Conference delegate. 1, would you say the conference was a success, given the abrupt manner in which it ended? 2nd, why did the National Conference make headway in the irrelevant issue like taxation of religion and the pilgrimage, but doesn't seem to do too well on issues that are germane to the unity and progress of the nation? That's from Jackson Madu in Anambra, particularly the second question there.
Yes, well, from Jack to Jackson, I think the first thing is that, well, like I said, compared to previous conferences, this has been a success. We are still we passed over 600 resolutions. We restructured this country the way no conference has ever done, because those issues you have touched about local government, about state, police, about this and the rest, no conference has been able to touch it in the past. Well, it did not end in an abrupt way. We voted on whether those issues be referred to the president, and yes had it. So it didn't end abruptly. The conference ended the way it should end, and the narrow issue has been referred to the president, on which the president can even act by fiat, because what the constitution says is that derivation should not be less than 13%.
Yes, not less.
The constitution does say it cannot be more. Constitutionally, the president can write to the Revenue Moderation Commission to increase the derivation.
And approve the 17% which the conference is advocating.
The president can do it, because the constitution says that it should not be less than. If the constitution says that derivation should not be more than 13%, then it's a different thing. So now, but on the question of the yes, you should know that, like I told I said I don't know, what we consider minor issues, it was easier, because that one does not affect the interest of anybody. But when you go to the major issues, and what's the most major issue? That is the question of the revenue.
Okay,
and that's because
we'll come back to that, because this is going on the same issue. From Shola Oluwo in Iwo, power devolution became another issue that the bold shrank from during the National Conference. Yet we all know this as pivotal to the growth and development of Nigeria. These are the sort of issues one would expect the National Conference to resolve once and for all.
Well, yes, devolution of power. You know, we have 20 committees.
Yep.
And I think with benefit of hindsight now, the conference leadership had a foresight by listing what somebody would call the relevant committees at the beginning, and to now put devolution
to the last.
And with independent insight now, if they have put devolution first, maybe that would have been the dissolution committee. You know. So, but by putting at the end, I think we are able to deal with 19 3/4 of the committee. So only a quarter of the devolution we were able to deal with. And I think we have devolved a lot of things. When I want you to wait for the final report. For instance, I was talking now that we have taken mines from the exclusive list to the concurrent list. That's devolution.
Indeed.
Airports, we have said that states can build airports. They don't have to be an exclusive.
To the federal government.
Oh, yes. So we took so many items away from the federal government. We have even resources. We have said, okay, as against the current stage where the federal government takes 52% of the revenue, we have slashed that to 42%. And now 58% now to go to the states. That's devolution.
That's a total reversal.
Yes. That's devolution. Because we are taking more functions to the state and need more money to do it. So by and large, I think by the time people see the final reports and they're able to go through the news, we have succeeded in largely in restructuring this country. Maybe not 100%, but I think 70%.
Let's go to the issue of education, because I was talking about, we talked about police and states, independent commissions, the conference on education.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think issues like education and the rest of them were treated under social sector. And, well, for me, really, I do not believe that education is the reason why you call it national conference. Because for me, these are the software. You need the hardware first. Many of us are at this conference for the hardware. And the hardware is the structure of this country.
The point is, local government was one of the key issues where you went in there.
Yes.
And we know where our education is, even as at this moment, particularly education and health.
Yes.
Where was the link?
No,
no, you're talking about hardware and software now, right?
Yes. If you buy all the software in this world and you have no hardware to play with it, you just waste your money. Okay, this conference can design the best policy on education. If you say Boko is haram, are you going to force education on them? So you need to have a country first. The issue in Nigeria today is that the governable space in Nigeria today is shrinking. It has shrunk. When people went to write work exams, they abducted 95 days and we have not seen them. So which come first? The egg?
Mm-hmm.
Or the omelette? So we kind of get it right.
So you shied away from education?
No. The resolution was taken. But for some of us, the reason for being at the conference was not for education. Because for me, look, go to all our national plans. We had enough policies to move this country forward. But the structure will not allow all those things to be implemented, to be useful to us, until we resolve it. So the hardware, the structure of this country is the key thing. There are a million policies on all those things. And the conference has done a lot of good job on bringing policy issues. But in fact, even like I was telling some of my friends that, look, even many of the issues we are discussing on these policy issues, they are issues a presidential candidate or a governorship candidate will competition to go and look for as manifesto.
Okay, let me hold you again.
Is structure.
From Rivers, Tamino Kingeske, why is it so difficult for the Northerners to understand that they cannot simply survive on the agony of another part of the country? If you are continually spoon-fed, you will not be driven to take a stock of what you have and make the best of it. True leaders will develop new avenues of generating revenues, not sticking with this money-sharing formula. That's from Rivers.
Yeah, well, where I became totally disappointed with some of our leaders from the North, with due respect, was, okay, when we now got 18% as derivation for South-South. For derivation, because really, that 18%, if everybody is bringing something on the table today, they will take that 18%. So when they decided 18% derivation, they now came up with this, which was 5% increase. Mm-hmm. Now came up with this idea that where they want 5% National Intervention Fund for insurgency and terrorism. And that this money now should now be shared between Northeast, Northwest, and North Central. 5% of our budget. We are not talking of ending insurgency. What we are talking about is a Marshall Plan. When conflict is still on. The day we were discussing this at the conference, the Boko Haram still damaged the bridge linking Damaturu with Biu. That was the day they claimed that they are the one that came to bomb Apapa. Mm. So there's this kind of devastation, destruction. And I say we should now, because we are given 5% derivation, which SARS is going to benefit from, you now also want another 5% for insurgency and terrorism. I said, look, what you are doing is to promote terrorism. Because if you vote money for you because there's terrorism in your area, then it means that every other part of the country that also wants money should go and start doing terrorism. And so people are locked in this revenue sharing thing without wanting to produce revenue. And that's a tragedy, and that's why you have this logjam. That's why derivation is a thorny issue. Because, like I said earlier, if you are ready to be productive, if everybody is ready to work, everybody will be struggling that, oh, let us, in fact, everybody will be talking about resource control. But because the thing that, we cannot survive without taking resources order. And I asked some of our friends from North Private one, if this oil were the other way around, we'll be talking about what you are talking.
I'll hold you there again. From Ibadan, Tokwe Odumosu. I pay great homage to the peaceful but resilient person of Mr. Odumaki, and I want to ask him the following questions. The push of the Afenifere for a regional autonomy seemed not to gain much prominence during the conference. Is it that it lacked substance, or was it not pushed properly? Second, why did the focus change to the creation of more states when we all know that the states we have now are not so viable?
Well, thank you, Tokwe. That's a profound question. Actually, you know, as Southwest delegate, we went there basically on the basis of regionalism. But both, and that was my committee that I had to handle that, political restructuring and forms of government. And it seemed that the Southwest stood alone on the question of regionalism. Because maybe out of short-sightedness, a lot of the other zones were saying, no, we don't want to go back to Enugu, we don't want to go back to Kaduna, we have had independence, we have been liberated. They are, you know, these many years of military atomization has given people this sense of, oh, you want to take us back to Egypt and the rest of them. So that was how the argument for regionalism was lost. But if they had allowed us to go regional, just like we are talking about local government now, each region would have been at liberty to create the number of states it wants for its ability convenience. But because we didn't do that, and for a long, because we are still tied to this question of the existing structure, that's when the question of states arose. And in any case, the states, there are genuine agitations, especially in the north, by the minorities, who really have been under serious oppression. And so, but yes, I said this earlier on, most of our states currently now cannot pay salaries without allocation of center because we are depending on oil. But if we apply ourselves and we begin to bring out all those other things in every part of Nigeria, believe you me, Nigeria can support, there are resources in Nigeria to support 200 states.
Enough resources in Nigeria to support 200 states.
If we go and bring them out and we stop this profligacy going on. Because we were talking at the Abuja a few days ago, and we were talking about the fact that people are saying that we have created new states, when some of the states cannot pay salaries and the rest. And somebody who is not frivolous said that the states that cannot pay salaries, they know why they cannot pay salaries. And he mentioned the governor in the north who came to Abuja last week and bought a land in Asoko for 3.5 billion naira. So there's a lot of wastages, a lot of corruption going on.
You talk about state repression. Some states are being repressed, and people, for that matter, where you have one, because that's part of your committee as well, where one, I don't want to use the word ethnic, dominates the order, how that should be resolved. We'll come to that. But another one from Ebonyi State, Charles Whiteman. This monkey they walk, baboon they chop thing should be addressed once and for all. Nigeria has a lot of mineral resources scattered all over the nation. If it is gold or columbite that is the main export of Nigeria, the northerners will never share it with other Nigerians. But like parasites, they want to suck the South dry. Why didn't the National Conference address this?
We did address it.
Charles Whiteman.
We did address it, and that's what was going to break the conference. Because there was a great awareness about what is going on in Nigeria Delta now. That if care is not taken, the oil company has been so irresponsible that everywhere they have been taking oil, they are not putting water back. That there may be tsunami or earthquake In those places, this oil is an exhaustible thing. And if our brothers or our sisters from our country say, okay, yes, let's share 87%, 82%, we want to take 18%. It's fair and just.
Indeed.
I took a tour of Ogoniland in 1992 with Ken Saro-Wiwa, and I saw the devastation. I saw communities where children who are 20 years old have never seen light in their life, darkness in their lives, gas bearing, all kind of things. So I believe we address it, and we have taken it back now to the president. Mr. President, please address the question of derivation. And I said, like I told you, the question is very clear.
He has the powers to.
He has power to do it.
Because he has the power, he created the national confirm.
Beyond that,
from that part.
The Constitution has empowered the president by saying that derivation should not be less than 13%. It didn't say it should not be more.
Well, we've been having this very interesting discussion with Yinka Odumakin, who is a delegate at the National Conference. As we await the report, he's discussed some of those very interesting aspects of what happened at the National Confab with us on Core Digest today. I am sure, particularly for those who sent in messages, continue to do so, because you will be watching us. You can watch us on our YouTube, on our Facebook, or you can get to us on our Facebook, as well as our Twitter handle. These are important network for you to use to contact Core Digest. We thank you for being there. But most of all, we want to thank our guest, Yinka Odumakin, for coming back.
Pleasure.
And we say, welcome back. I hope we will see more of you, if you'll oblige us.
Sure.
Indeed. It's been Core Digest. I am Sheyi Martins. Have a wonderful day, and we wish you, for those who are still fasting, Ramadan Mubarak.
You can now watch Core TV News live from anywhere in the world on our website, www.coretvnews.com. Click on Live TV on our website and watch us live.
And welcome to Core TV Primetime News.
To follow us on Twitter, click on Twitter icon on our website. On Facebook, click on the Facebook and YouTube to see all our previous news production. You can also watch us live on YouTube. Click Core TV, leave a space, then News. Core TV News, a 24-hour news station.